That's in the room, but
Gerald Moore, I run the nice I just cut this. Yeah, I appreciate that. I've been over here trying to get set up. I got 2 babies, so I had to drop them off. I love everything you've been doing. It's good to meet you in person.
Yeah, you too.
You and your husband. I love you.
Representative Callaghan's various machines and these cases like some of this hearings and such as more. Believe there are a lot of really nice legislators out there. It is what it is. I know a lot of different things here. You just have to do some legislators. You have to get into their office. Whether it's here or they are state legislators. They're not legislators. When they vote, they're voting yes, no, that's all you. So get in and see them, share your opinions with them, support them, send them emails. It's when you mentioned that over 40,000 emails phone calls come in over the last Senate Bill 56. Real quick, I think my representative as Matt posted earlier today, yesterday they moved House Bill 160 into the House Judiciary Committee, as chaired by Jim Thomas. Just so happens to have calendars, other cannabis-friendly legislators are in there as well. Senate Bill 56 is also in there. Senate Bill 86, which is about hemp, is still in the Senate General Government Committee with Senator Rowe. So if anything about hemp you have interest on, you need to contact your office. When you contact these committees, don't just contact one person. Contact them, leave them a voicemail, send them an email, see them in this office, see them in their local office, whatever it might be. Realize this, there are 132 legislators in the state of Ohio. When they vote, they all vote for you. So it's good when you reach out and call 132 of them. Send them all copy, paste, email, whatever. All of them. They all need to be updated on what's going on and what the community is looking at, what we're fighting for, and so forth. So, when you go to events, bring a joint, big flower, whatever you want to bring. Bring somebody else, so we can get crowds. See other states get it. We need to let the public needs to see it. We got the media that's here today. They're still here. I'm going to cut real quick. Morgan, it's all on you. She's going to do some stuff back there, so we give her about 5 minutes. Yeah. She's going to do something, then we're going to bring Rep Calendar up. So we'll get to hear what they is. So just hold down for a second here and we'll get back on the show.
Pretty much everybody else is kind of filmed that.
Good morning. Morgan Trout, ladies and gentlemen. Cannabis meeting especially. Good. Well, also, Senator Jamie's getting ready to come up here. The cannabis safety booth table back here. Other places, you'll be able to get one on here. Shoot that. It'll give you all the information. You ready, man? Jay, you ready?
For what?
Oh, come do us a little dance or something. I couldn't be prouder than to introduce Rep. Jamie Callender and walking through here. I don't want to take away from Jamie, but Senator Herschel Prager's right over here at the doorway. But Jamie is Senator Prager, everybody. Senator Herschel Prager wants to reach out to his office. So we're going to see legislators sporadically pop up. That's kind of how it goes. You have to deal with it here at the Statehouse. Irritating the neighbor or something, but they get to you. They get back to you sooner or later, and they do what they can. So they need our voice as much as we need their voice. Keep that in mind. So this Representative Jamie Callender, and I'll let him, as I said, he's one of the sponsors candidates down here. I really appreciate your being involved. So let's take the mic, talk a little bit about what's going on, and if any of the other legislators show up, we're more than welcome to join us.
I'm sure it's also. How's that? I just want to know a couple minutes. How's the day going? It's good to see you all. I want to correct one thing that Tim said, and Tim has been an advocate, has done an incredible job for years. He has showed up at hearings when no one else does. He has called us as legislators multiple times just to chat up. So he knows how to advocate, listen to his advice, work with him. He's done a great job. But he said one thing today that I will take slight issue with, and that's bring a joint to give to the senators and reps for your visit. My office, yes. Other offices, not so much. One of the problems we get, and actually probably most of you individually, and many of you collectively over the years. But the one thing to remember, if you look with legislators, my age and older especially, is that some of them legitimately do not understand, have no experience, no life experience with cannabis. So all of you all are knowledgeable, you understand the industry, you understand the non-industry, you understand the whole sector, you know of the medicinal properties, you know of the legitimate uses, and you know that it is really less dangerous than alcohol, or quite frankly, less dangerous than sticker bars for your health. They honestly don't know yet. They honestly believe in their heart, from their personal experience, which is just third-party stories, that this is a dangerous thing. And therefore, you are dangerous people coming in and advocating for this dangerous thing. So when you speak to legislators, especially the older ones, keep that in mind and be gentle and break what you're saying down into very simplistic statements. Not because they're very brilliant, but because they have no exposure and no background, no reference point other than negative reference. So it's important to go in and remember that and not get offended if they say something that's just whack. I am yet in search of the famous producing almost 3,000 joints per plant per season plant. If anyone can find proof of this elusive plant that's been referred to by my colleagues. Could you please share that? Because I think the public wants to know. Do any of you have one of those plants? Well, you've got to. Oh, you have it. Okay. I need to learn about these plants. And I've been trying to, I think that's one example to look at where the legislators honestly believe that. They don't realize that it's kind of funny when they say, because it's so inaccurate. So again, back to simple education. It is important that you get them to listen to what you're saying rather than put up that wall right off the bat and put you all with some ponytail freak or something. It's tough for me, and I share offices with some of them. So that's my big advice for you. We are in much better shape politically than I expected to be at this point this year. I was very concerned that there would be some things in the budget bill that would be very not what we want. It looks like that may not happen. The line put a couple of things in, but I believe those will be taken out. I'm pretty sure they will be taken out before the budget gets out of the House. We have the Senate bill that came over, and the House bill introduced afterwards. The House bill, in my opinion, is much better than what the Senate bill was. And I'm confident that the House will prefer the House bill over the Senate bill. We haven't had a first hearing yet, which will make it harder to move any of that language into the budget bill in the House, which is a victory for us. Every day we keep something from happening is a victory. More licenses are issued, more people have a vested property right legally in their licenses or in their products or in their home grow. So it becomes harder and harder to regulate something that already exists legally. So every day that we slow this down, I've been saying this for a year and a half now, every day we slow it down is a victory. So yay. As we move forward in the House bill, there's 2 or 3 things that I'm going to kind of put down as no-go points that we need to fix. It is better. The home grow portion is much better. Protecting the existing licenses is much better. I'd like to hear, I'm going to open up the questions here in a minute. Did I see Terrence come in? Yeah, Terrence should get up here too. This is Representative Upchurch. From North Ohio, in Greater Cleveland, well, Cleveland, actual Cleveland, and has been a very strong and public advocate for all of us. And so it's been great to have him to work with. I'm going to mention 2 things that are super concerning to me about the House bill that I hope you all will choose to make priorities of your advocacy. We'll let Terrence chat with you. Okay, well, let Terrence talk with you. And then I would like to ask questions about what your biggest concerns are with the current House Bill 1. So that okay, I am, and I thought I saw someone else walk through. You'll be there, but I'm thinking voting members. I'm looking for voting members. We had one walk through, but they put their head down and they realized it was real. The 2 things that are the biggest concern to me, one is the percentages of concentrations. Is just concerning to me on several levels. One is people voted for. 2, it might force adulteration of product to get it down to the levels of concentrations, which seems really not sensible to me. If we're trying to protect the public, why would we force? And 2, it's like banning 161 or 151 rum, right? You just take 3 shots. It doesn't really have an impact on what's on the market, so it's not sensible. And the other issue is the elimination of the new licenses, especially the level 3s. There's a real good point for that. Tied to that, and I guess tied with that and tied into that, is limiting the number of licenses. There's 350. We're trying to limit that, and there's 342 issued, which means there's only 8 more licenses available for the entire state forever. So those are the things that jump out at me as the most problematic. But I want to hear from you, after Terrence is done, what do you see as the more problematic areas, so that we can all be on the same page? And I can hear from you all what your concerns are as well. I keep saying chairs, I should say representative opposition. Oh, I can have them online, all right.
Well, good morning. All right. Good morning. I was beginning to think I was alone in this room. I used to watch the club all the time, so I appreciate you all being here. Thank you for all the work that you do. Again, I'm State Representative Terrence Church from Cleveland, Northeast downtown, Midwest. Yes, home of the Cavaliers, the Guardians, and all that. And it's good to be with my friend Jamie, who's been a partner since I've been in the legislature. We came in at the same time. This is your second tour of duty. Very good friend. I certainly learned a ton working with Jamie in terms of the legislative process and how to get things done. I'm proud to be an advocate for cannabis here in Ohio for a variety of reasons. And I just want to share some of the biggest reasons why I support and why I do the work that I do. One, because of the criminal justice element, right? There are people right now still that are being hindered from, getting student loans, getting mortgages, getting jobs because of low-level marijuana addiction. Hey, Holmes, what's up, brother? Good colleague of mine, good friend. So I think that as we begin to be more forward-thinking about marijuana and cannabis, we're beginning to realize that it is not as dangerous as it's portrayed to be. It's not a drug that leads to the use of other sorts of drugs. Some of the folks that do the fear mongering, they tend to tell us. And there's also a medical element to this too. There are some diseases, and particularly cancer, there are some cancers are painful enough, but the treatment for those cancers are just as painful and just as detrimental that sometimes the only sort of relief for that pain is the use of certain medicinal marijuanas. 3 years ago, my father passed away of cancer, and he was in extreme amounts of pain. And no matter how much chemo or radiation or other treatments that were offered in terms of Western medicine, there tended to be nothing that relieved his pain. However, when we gave him an edible, he slept better than he had ever slept, and he noticed that there was pain. The science speaks for itself. So those are some of the reasons why I'm probably advocating for it and do the work that I do, because I think that we can get this right and truly make Ohio a better place. Just look at what Michigan is doing with their recreational cannabis. They've generated a ton of revenue. They've been able to reinvest in their inner cities and reinvest in communities that have been adversely impacted by some of the flaws in our criminal justice system. So that's why I was a strong supporter of issue 2. I'm going to be brief because I am interested, like my colleague here, to hear some of your feedback and answer some of your questions as best as I can. Jamie's going to do the majority of the talking because he's the brain trust here, the wealth of knowledge, and I'll follow his lead. But no, listen, I'm very happy to be here. Again, thank you for all the work that you do. We can certainly open it up because I'd love to hear some of the questions.
Yeah, thanks, man. I appreciate you again, Rep. Terrence Church, one of the Some of the evidence, we have down here, as well, Secretary, Representative Holmes, Church was speaking, he's also had it before, so I'll speak for. These guys are two of the best that we have, so reach out to the office. Questions. I'm gonna start this off, I know this is probably championed everybody more than any other language in any of the three bills. Yeah. But to both of you, you can both take a shot at it. Pierre slightly touched on it, criminal justice reform. And I've done this for years. When you create a cannabis program in America, you always create rules for the legislature, for the regulatory body, you create rules for the license holders. We leave out the consumer, the patient in the middle. None of the criminal statutes, they never get up. So they say, oh, we're currently working on a bill here, 55, I believe it is, for the OBI, that's trying to update some of that. But the state's got to talk about, my question, I guess, is asking is, the criminalization that we're doing, enhancing penalties that we revised, Ohio revised code chapter 20/25, the old drug laws, it's better to go back to those and really have a program in Ohio based on the legislation we have now. You are safer. You have to be less criminalized. There's no mandatory jail sentences. Some of this stuff is just ridiculous. So if you guys could just kind of briefly touch on some of the mandatory sentencing, sharing, sitting in a vehicle 3 days automatic in jail, some of this stuff we'd appreciate it.
Okay, Terrence, for me to start, we had a bill last year that would deal with this pretty well, and more legislation. I'll let him expand on what he was working on that I think we should all be very supportive of. Yeah, it's kind of nonsensical when we have legalization that makes more people. Something that needs to be addressed in whatever vehicle goes forward. I'm still of the mindset that we can keep any of those legislative vehicles going forward. That's okay. But that's ugly. So I think that's a really good point, and that's just kind of an overall thing that's happening. The recriminalization of things. So I don't have much experience. But when you do consume marijuana products, you would never share with someone else with you, since that's now illegal. Or smoke in a place where you're allowed to smoke. I mean, there's some nonsensical things out there that are just kind of wacky. Some of these versions. I want to jump back to what I was saying. I saw someone, and they disappeared with a sign that said, in the sticker. Where is that? I think that sums up a lot of what we need to do at this. I worked at Terrence's work some. I worked on, making sure we press release and get out. I'm going to dispensaries, because again, back to what members here believe, they believe that someone who enjoys the product cannot live a productive life. And then when they realize one of their colleagues might be a stoner, might have been behind. They're like, well, wait, he actually has more legislation than me. And part of it's ending the stigma that someone who chooses to use cannabis rather than alcohol, or I'll go back to cigarettes bars or coffee, can be just as productive as any of those people. In fact, many times, someone who uses cannabis to get to sleep at night or to deal with chronic pain is much more highly functional than someone who uses alcohol to try to do the same thing. Also, significantly much less likely to have a car accident or commit a crime, or commit an act of violence. These should be things that we want to happen, don't want to happen. And a lot of that is, and so one of the things you can do to advocate is to go in and talk about your professional, non-cannabis related successes. You have a master's degree. Did you start a successful business? Are you employing people? Have you held a job for a number of years? And then lead into the cannabis and see it does not impact my ability to be a good citizen and a good member of society. So I thank you for that sign. That is really underpinning a lot of our advocacy, is taking away that stigma. So that didn't directly address the decriminalization that we were probably. Terrence talked about the bill that he introduced or worked on last year and that concept, because I think it's a great idea to work, and I want to give him a chance to talk about this.
Thank you. Thank you for the question. Just to touch on some of my colleagues' points, is absolutely right. Cannabis, marijuana, these are things that need to be decriminalized because, again, we are beginning to see that these things are not as harmful as they're being portrayed by those that fear them. You can live a productive life and, indulge, in the product from time to time, just like you can be productive and have an occasional cocktail. And the reality is, those of us with common sense, which everybody in this room has, of course, we're not going to smoke in places that don't allow smoking. And of course, we're not going to, do things intentionally to violate the law. And of course, we're not going to do things that would put others in danger while we're indulging in the product. Just as if you, have an occasional cocktail, you know what your cutoff is, and you know, when it's time to maybe, settle down and push back on the table. So having common sense, I think, is just another reason, why we can decriminalize marijuana and cannabis as well. And the more we tell stories of folks that live successful, productive lives, and productive citizens that occasionally use, I think that helps us make our case to some of the folks that are fear-mongering because they don't understand and they don't desire to understand and they don't desire to do their own research and learn more about the issue. Rep. County mentioned a bill that I was working on last year. I can't remember the specific bill number. It was a bill that I had introduced with Representative Benson. And what it would do essentially it would expunge the records of those that have been convicted for low-level marijuana offenses. And I don't recall the specific levels in the bill, but we're actually having conversations about reproducing the bill. Since issue 2 has passed, this state is moving forward. And this state is moving forward. Now, we can debate if we're moving forward in the right direction, wrong direction, but this state is moving forward on cannabis. So Rep. Denson and I are talking about introducing the bill, which we most likely will. To move forward and establish our economy around recreational use, part of the conversation has to be what it looks like for those that have been hindered by low-level marijuana offenses. Because it has to be, regardless of what has been portrayed at different levels of government, it has to be equitable. So, that's where I stand.
Let's take another question here.
Good morning, my name is Ashley Most, I'm a supervisor of the Ohio Cannabis Operator. Thank you to you both, Representative Churchill, or Church again, Representative Colliner. My question is about the distribution of tax revenue, and right now the House bills are currently trying to put them in a general fund. I think that, to your point, the House bill is better than the Senate bill, but I think there is more work to be done. What can you say about, that distribution of tax revenue, and if it does go into the general fund, what are the plans for that revenue?
Well, firstly, I keep standing up and you're sitting down. Are you just showing off that you're taller than me? Yeah, good. Wait till I sit down. Just to keep it even. And see, this is bipartisanship, the way it's supposed to work. The way we really need it to work. So you guys can help with that too. None of the bills that are out there right now, I couldn't vote for any of them where they sit right now. The tax revenue, I believe both of them, but certainly the House bill, take it back down to the 10%, not the 15% the governor proposed, not the 20% we heard proposed in various places. So bringing it back down to the 10, which was what was passed in issue 2, I still think that's too high, but let's maintain it first before we start trying to make it better. Let's save it first. Is a good step. The distribution, I think what we're hearing is that in going back to the original distribution form in the Ohio Township Association, because they were one of the recipients of a portion of that, and communities that allowed or encouraged dispensaries or other marijuana industry area received tax revenue, and those who voted against that did not. And there's a fundamental fairness on that portion you were mainly referring to, that portion of the tax change really out of the rest. So they are advocating very much to go back to the original one. So take advantage of having an ally in a different industry with that, and co-partner with them to advocate. So I think we've got a good chance to keep it at 10%. As far as the distribution, that's going to be a fight. We saw what happened yesterday in the House floor with the education bill, where they're taking all the letters DEI for some reason really scare people. And they're just 3 letters in the alphabet. So I think it goes back to education and letting, in this case, we have 132 voters, 32 years to 99 pass. Educating those voters that look at 2 of us are right here. So you probably have us. But education, polite, academic education, because I went to college before this stuff passed. As to what it is, those letters don't hurt you. And trying to have an inclusive this state should be the priority of everyone. And so educating them what that means. What I've used in this set is, rather than calling it DEI, talk about it as economic empowerment for disadvantaged areas of life, right? We're trying to bring more people in to be entrepreneurs, more people in to start businesses, more people in to hire people, to train people, to become professionals, right? How is that? Just because there's 3 letters attached. So let's not talk about it being DEI. Let's talk about economic empowerment, economic development in primarily urban, but also some areas that don't have a lot of economic opportunity. So they're either moving away or they're moving to something that is not what we want to encourage as policy. So it's not go back. That's their. But I think if we can get this is back to how the legislators think about it. We get to think about it as creating opportunities for people to start a business versus some kind of using those letters. We need a 4th letter. It's going to be if you can think of a nice, maybe we throw a W in there.
I think one of the biggest things that you have to probably point out is, I'm sure everybody in this room, everybody knows I'm retired for 15-year unions with my 4-line department. one of the biggest problems that we have is, why is REAP tall? Well, we know why. We got to address, tax dollars that we pay for cannabis might be appropriated to law enforcement has no problem. They get it local, they, whatever, their municipalities, they get it from the state, they get it federal grants. I made a killing. It's just overtime. So tax dollars is not something that law enforcement in Ohio needs, especially from the cannabis community. We don't have a problem on the street. We got a problem with guns, we got a problem with pharmaceuticals, we got problems with alcohol. Let's be honest about it. And I think that's where we need to take money. We have 59 right now. We're all about it's regulated right. But to say that we're not going to have taxes for firearms and ammunition, but we're going to up the tax on cannabis, makes no sense. Look at the street record. So, as a baby, it's the way it should be that. The bills we have now are basically killing the industry, so to say. 10% tax is rough. Now we talk about sliding 20 into the budget, so we're going to have 20, 10% going to stay. This is going to be 30%. It's going to be up to 30% tax. That's why $70 million is spent in Michigan and 45 to 50 million is spent in Ohio.
And thank you for those comments. I agree too. I don't see a world where it's necessary to use some of the revenue and profits and put it in the law, unless it is going to go to something like implicit bias training or something along that nature. And I don't speak specifically to the funding formula for revenues generated, right? It's simple. I really think we need to be investing in the communities and investing in programs that are impacted by the misinformation about marijuana and cannabis. What I mean is, we need to invest in workforce development. We need to invest in public schools. We need to, local governments that they can use these funds to invest in the programs that they have. Like I said, there are people right now with low-level marijuana convictions that are being considered productive citizens. How and invest to improve the quality of life. So that's what it needs to look like.
Okay, who else? Okay, Mary, your turn.
So a couple questions when it comes to the taxes, because I just looked at it from the back. From Cleveland, I was back last May. And coming back to see that is yes. I was treating people, first of all, let me say that I used to work at what I noticed is that even though legalization took place in all states, rooting for doctors were against it because they are taught to know that chemotherapy and radiation are your own problems. It's chemotherapy and radiation will actually kill you faster than cancer itself.
Yeah.
I treat a person in the ambulance with concentrate cancer. He has Parkinson's disease. He can do this, and now he can do this. 18 months, my client has shown new practices. So the question is, how do we take and make all of this natural medicine, because our loved ones are dying of overdoses in the streets of Cleveland every day. Every day. I live in Slavic Village in Cleveland, Ohio. And when I moved back here to see how much my son has been right now, tax dollars to go to. So regardless, if the tax goes up, or the tax goes down, we need a happy medium. We need to have programs in place for real asset wealth to help trucks, because put options in, that is what cannabis can do, and when you put them together, it's a dual benefit. So how can I get
Let me start with something quasi outside of our control. We can try. We have to deschedule or reschedule cannabis on federal, because the research to back up what you're talking about requires federal funds, access to federal funds, and access to the bank. The Safe Banking Act will help. I certainly applaud the fact that Ohio legislators and most experts in that. It's got to be done. You can't just introduce legislation. And the rescheduling, we have a president, disagree with you on every other issue, but he's called for rescheduling from scheduling down to levels. I'd rather have it unscheduled, but down to levels to at least allow us, universities and other research institutions, to perform research and still be eligible for. Yeah, that's cool. Not to mention the rest of us, if you are flying from state to state, even though they're not currently searching, I mean, that's a risk every time you fly and you carry product with you that you know is helping you with the, or you know you can't do in the other state. This is actually a federal crime every time you do it. That is absolutely critical to allow what you're talking about. We can pass a resolution urging Congress, and we should be having that. In fact, my sponsor.
Let's do it.
Oh, we gotta get it done. That requires talking to our congressmen, our senators. I know that some of you are shaking your head, yes, have participated on a national level and involved in to U.S. talk to senators. So keep that up, right? We'll do our part. We just right.
First of all, thank you for being here. It's always good to see you, fellow Cleveland. Thank you for the work that you're doing. So Rep. Calloway is absolutely right. The descheduling from the is forced to get some of that research so that we can begin to push that in Parliament. And the way we do that is working with our congressional delegation. I myself, I need to, conversation with Congressman Chantal Brown and the sites who I'm sure are very aware of this and are doing their, their part at the level. But it's going to take more collaboration. I will introduce, I think it's just another step to urge our congressional delegation to really get things put in policy so we can get it. Next question, right here.
10 years ago, I left employment with the state of Ohio. I was an employee with the state of Ohio for 27 years. I lived around Colorado, learned about medical cannabis. I knew about marijuana, just didn't know about edibles and things like that.
I was taking 16 pills a day. Taking 3 as needed. Straight from the mountaintop. Number one. Oh, sorry. I started this journey as a patient. And I started this journey as a patient from Ohio State. And at this time, the state of Ohio did not have medical marijuana. So I had to go to the state of Michigan as a medical marijuana refugee patient. And that was because the state of Michigan only would treat me if I was a resident. So I had to go stay in the office to establish residency. And so what they did was they let me go to the hotel room to show that I was not coming to the state of Michigan to do social services. I had to bring a receipt for food that I was not coming to get on food stamps. I had to show that I was in Michigan 1 hour more or 30 minutes more than I was in the state of Ohio to show that I was more than I was in Ohio, to prove that I was a resident of Michigan in order to become a medical marijuana patient, just so that I could have access to a caregiver, just so that I could use a dispensary. My question is, why is the state of Ohio not allowing a refugee in the state of Ohio? We can take care from Indiana and from the people of Kentucky and West Virginia, so that we don't have to increase our prices and our taxes, but make sure that we have, so that in case they can't use or have resources for our recreational prices, that they can have access to our medicinal prices and have access to our caregivers, so that they can have some sense of, I need somebody to help me through this process. I need somebody to help me through this. If I've never gone through this process, having a caregiver helps me, because that was not my genre, not my expertise. So to have somebody to walk me through what was it like, what was it going to feel like to go through edibles for the first time, with me, having maybe somebody walk me through the process of what do I take for in the morning versus what do I take for in the evening, what do I take so that I can function, so that I'm not nodding, so people don't think I'm like some heroin addict during the daytime versus me trying to get some sleep at night. So having an educated, our care system here is just primarily a glorified Uber versus a educated professional. They want to take out education for bartenders, because without an education, you like an uneducated person versus with a certificate that says I have gone to school, I am educated, but so to allow bartenders and to allow caregivers to have some form of education where they have a certified blood tender and a certified caregiver, so that the caregiver can then grow, and so that the caregiver can then process and walk you through those products that you needed, so that you're not going to go no different than a nurse or a nurse practitioner, so that it would be equal to the medical field. We look at the products and bring them up to 1.0 and allow them to be really considered over the counter. Well, we understand that as an extra strength aspirin, our medicine, that hemp and product can be tested, can be regulated, and can be done no differently with a separate license, no different than beer or alcohol. But we're looking at medicinal marijuana that typically over 5 spirits, then we can look at hemp no different than beer, wine, or diluted alcohol, where somebody else can have a lower, less license to sell it. And therefore, we can look at it as over the counter. And then that way, it shouldn't be a competition for less educated. I don't need this much. I can simply have a head of a little worse. I might need some strength. But we're using the word intoxicating versus relieving. We have to read how we look at it. If we start rebranding how we look as relieving or helping versus allowing them to look at it as it's intoxicating. Okay, well, so is beer. And when we look at, oh, the kids are getting into it, there's not one dispute or one vape that is selling hemp or marijuana to kids. We have to put responsibility on the parent. We have to look at how are these kids getting access? Make parents responsible for what their kids are getting into. Make the industry responsible for testing and regulating. Let everybody have their responsibility and accountability so that we can have something to be proud of. And that's an industry that can regulate it. When we voted on issue 2 that we would have social equity, I personally feel like I was lied to. I personally feel like I was bullshit. Because I have been in this Ohio game for the last 10 years. When some of these level 1s, the level 2 people call me on my phone personally and ask me to get out here and get these signatures. When I was asked to get out here and get these signatures for the legalization of medical marijuana, I got out here and I was the county captain, Montgomery County. I was on the Ohio Rights Group. I was in ORG. I sat on the board for the Physical Movement Coalition when we were first getting started. And then for them to turn around and say that there is no social equity after I have done all the work, and now I have no access to level 3 cultivation, it is some absolute stab in the back bullshit. You can collect the tax money, it will be happy that after all the work that I've done to license to help you get in business, that oh, just be helpful, Tasha. It will just help us get our license, Tasha. And now when it's time for Tasha to finally get Tasha, now you stab me in the back. Now Stephen Huffman, a man who said that Black people spread because we didn't wash our hands enough, who sits on the health committee, now he's sitting here telling me that the $16 million to collect taxes, I don't have access to, I'm not getting a license, I'm not getting nothing. How fucking dare me? Now get this industry started. Be criminalized marijuana in the city of Clinton. It's 2020. I work with the University of Clinton to run the Business Expedited Party and clemency programs, run the family reading program, and help people get back their jobs. I need this shit going. This is all.
Representative, I think she's 16.
Representative Upchurch graciously asked if I made the response. And all I can say is great.
Yes, sir.
Let me start to your first portion. A lot of that goes back A lot of things you're talking about restricted. A college or university can't have a certification program for bud tenders because all of their federal funds or access to student loans for other students. So this descheduling thing is huge. As far as the social justice and equity, and I hate to say don't blame, but don't blame issue two. It's still the law. We're trying to take it out of the law right now, which is some of our. This is an uphill. For those of you who witnessed what happened yesterday on the House floor, the Senate bill that gutted social equity programs from our universities. When it's supposed to talk about it, it's just not politically correct. But I think that shows you what's going on in this facility right now. As far as I mentioned earlier, the dirty words to a majority. Education is the key. We need you going in, ma'am. We need you going in and talking to members one at a time, telling them your story, and it's why this is not us versus them. It is building back society. It is going into poor neighborhoods, decimating economic and creating opportunities. It's keeping people from having to go to Michigan. It's making sure people from surrounding states, Ohio is a haven, not enemy territory. So be here more, be here and talk to folks. Can you do that? Well, you're here now. Excellent. Good. Keep it up. Don't let up the pressure. Use the media. Those of us that are here speaking to you are already there. It's our colleagues we need. We are working. Trust me, I'm doing it.
Yeah, you can go meet with them as well in their office.
Yeah, it's all the that's not what I'm advocating. But we need to speak with a voice, and we need to make sure educate keyword. Make sure that the folks that are making these decisions understand real life impacts on real life lives. Because I think there's a disconnect, and they honestly don't see. Because they were getting in. So let me point out that 57% of Ohioans voted for 57%, right? Which means you are the majority. You are the majority. Get your friends and neighbors out for it.
Terrence, you got something to say?
I was just going to piggyback on my colleague. I appreciate your passion and story. And just to be clear, me and Jamie got y'all back. Okay, it is our other colleagues that we need to educate or work with you all on everything. Her passion and her energy force motivation for all of us to work together to work with our federal delegation so that we can do the descheduling, get our resolution passed, and really begin to get the ball rolling, and really begin to see the change that we want.
Okay, just as a reminder, I know some of you came in late. Literally, I reached out to every leader, as I said, both sides of the aisle, both parties, Ohio State and Senate support. These gentlemen here came down, took their time, because they are in support of what we do, 110%. If those legislators out there that you're missing, see that in here and speak about it, they didn't do anything. Here at the Statehouse, in their home. Go there, that's where you know they're at. Walk in there and tell them what you wanted to know. Drop off a letter bill. A bill, do something. to the guys that are up here defending us for our rights and so forth. If I could point out a couple of things, and I think Tosh touched on this a little bit. Reciprocity. In our medical, allow it in the adult program we do. Makes no sense. You guys know I've introduced numerous don't see it. That's a lot of things. And I am one of the something I've asked for years as well. But that's just something that we look at of, we got 6 states around Ohio, by weed, still. Michigan, big volume. Some of the education stuff she spoke about. There's nothing little, but the catch is they have to do 16 hours of mandatory training every 2 years. The sciences, some of them are here, cultivators, processors, and the testing, they do no CEUs. So we don't understand that. I understand back in 2016 when we created 523, all that stuff was brought in. Mary Jane is here, and my wife is here, several other people were here, there and that, and so forth. So trying to update as we move through 56 and then 160, addressing some of those mandatory CEUs would be something we appreciate. We had a few more questions. I know you're going to get out here at 12:30, but we get these to you.
Thank you. My name is Joey Elwood. I'm with Appalachian Girls Cannabis. And to your point, Jamie, we met 2 years ago. You took the time to sit with me individually and talk about some of the most broad-sweeping issues we have here as farmers in Ohio. I hold one of 13 licenses on the hemp side. My partner, Matt, there's got a second one, and the other half are probably research related. I think this challenge I have with as an agricultural guy, it takes $40 to $60 per pound to grow this plant outside. Indoor products, I think the cost is somewhere between $400 to $600 a pound. I don't have that experience. And I do know that draft cannabis, smokable cannabis, is what we use for inside. And Lincoln Cannabis just recently released an article that said that tier 1 for top cultivators use as much as 100 times the energy as well. So ecologically and economically, as we're getting our the pants whipped off of us by the state up north, we won't mention any names, but our consumers here in Ohio are paying upwards of 3 times the amount. Our farmers are dying on the vine. Okay, there's less over 100 of us left. We're growing cannabis. Hemp is cannabis. The government defined this. I know I'm not lying to you guys. Here on our side, my question more so is the Ohio Farm Bureau supports growing plants outside. This is, the sun's free. We want to use it. It's way easier, more cost efficient for us to get those edible products in there. How do we drive this across the finish line like the other 16 states that are cultivating outside before contiguous states turn the lights on and we're irrelevant?
I wish I had a very easy answer for you. I don't. This stays in an uphill battle to get where we are, and we're still fighting those that are trying to push back. We got every step seems to be more effort than less. We as advocates, instead of saying we, not you, we as advocates just need to have the perseverance and to keep going. There's going to be a point where we roll the ball up a hill enough that it'll start getting easier. The issue that you outlined is one of a myriad of issues we have right now. Integrating the laws between hemp products and marijuana products is an area, again, a lot of the lawmakers don't really grasp the complexities, the differences, the similarities, the impact of the Federal Farm Act, education, patience, perseverance. Many of you have been around, and I've seen many folks in the room that we've worked with for, gosh, going on a decade for many. And I know everyone hopes that the fight would be over by now. We've had some pretty major victories. 57% of Ohio's, was a huge area. And we'd like to think that that ended the matter. And it was a benefit, but it was not the end of the war. So we need to keep on, keep patience, keep persevering, keep drawing attention to the inconsistencies, the hypocrisies, the flaws. There's plenty to grab up on. Keep working together as a group. We've got some great leaders in the room that have been doing this. Again, Tim has been doing this for a very long time, very consistent. And I'm sure he goes home frustrated to death sometimes, that it feels like we're going backwards or hitting heads up against the wall. Please don't stop. I know you guys are in this because it's personal. Please don't stop. Please keep going. I know it's not a direct answer. I wish I had a better answer than that. But that's where we're at right now. We have to think reality is.
Yeah, let me touch on this. I know that a lot of people are sick and tired of being sick and tired, but you cannot give up. You have to remain resilient, and you have to work with us to educate our colleagues. Because a lot of our colleagues support farmers, or claim to support farmers. So there is an opportunity there, but they have to be educated on some of the disparities in where farmers are being negatively impacted by some of the things that are coming out of the legislature. Right? And I think that's where we have an opportunity to collaborate and educate our colleagues so that we can continue to move that ball up.
Thanks. One more question.
Speaking on education, I'm a patient advocate first, but I'm also an industry worker. I don't know if it's an issue, but they're trying to ban, smoking outside or just in public places. Like, where do we have, as a non-homeowner or even just, medical or adult user, what's up with have social lounges or somewhere that we can use our medicine safely as medical user or adult users. I don't see the state helping non-homeowners with that issue, because there's a lot of people that if you use in your confined space in your home, the rest is they can tell you that they're going to find you or kick you out. That's still an issue that hasn't been addressed.
No, I appreciate the question. And again, this is another issue that's been outlined, which, highlights an imperfect system here, right? I mean, if the policy is to ban the use of marijuana and cannabis in public places, then we as the legislature need to figure out where people can utilize their medicine, and whether it's, setting up certain public spaces, or working with our hospitals, local healthcare facilities on where they can provide certain areas and spaces where people that just need to, use this as medicine for medicinal purposes can go and get the relief they need, not intoxication, but the relief that they need, right? So again, this is just another step that needs to be taken in terms of educating our colleagues so that we and Jamie can continue to do the work of advocating on behalf of people.
Let me add one thing to that. When I was out campaigning for issue 2, one of the things that was important to me that I thought was correct, that might be occurring anyway, but was in bars and live music that had an outdoor area for smokers, that cannabis smokers would be allowed to go there and enjoy the concert and not be drinking beers like everybody else, but rather using their choice. Smoking is smoking is smoking. And when it is allowed in an area, specifically bar owners who have put in these lounges to comply with Ohio's ridiculous smoking laws. Yeah, it makes no sense that you can't smoke there. So not just outdoors, but outdoors in venues that specifically allow that business owner to decide, not the government. And that restriction is taking me up. That's the first issue for me. love live music, love going to picnics. Not a big drinker, but maybe I want to do something to relax and enjoy the music. We're not allowed to.
What about the venues that sit?
That's, again, leave it up to the business owner. I mean, we talk about property rights all the time as a legislature. What if the business owner wants to cater to that crowd? Maybe they don't want a liquor license, but they want to sell infused beverages and have people consume cannabis as part of the experience of their facility. Why would we ban someone who doesn't want exposed to it? Won't go there.
Rep, I'm gonna get one final question.
Hey, how's it going? My name is Daniel Bridges. I'm a brand ambassador for Standard Farms. We're processing only in Ohio, up in Garfield Heights. I just wanted to get any information possible, if there was any on licensing opening up for processors, being able to expand operations. It's been very tough since recreational was introduced. We went through a long stretch where we couldn't even get product in, couldn't get weed, nobody would sell us anything. The top hats, big dogs, whatever you want to call them, we're kind of like putting their foot down. So it's like, we're fighting for you guys. We're all in this together, but it just doesn't feel like it when it comes down to being a processor. And, we need help to survive and to thrive in this industry with the structure. So I just wanted to see if there was anything coming down the pipeline for processors, because it seems like we got the short end of the stick or no end of the stick in the law.
There have been several legislative attempts to fix that already. None of them have gotten through. One of the things to pay attention to is this cap on the number of licenses, would make it almost impossible to give people a license if there's no licenses available. So I think that's an area to really concentrate your lobbying effort on for your sector. Because if we're limited to only 8 new licenses, there's 13 entities that need one, mathematically that doesn't work. I personally like to go back to the new level 3 licenses that were issued to us past, because it would be a nice connection to get you a grow site and a dispensary, give access to those through the orphan processors, or going to be non-vertically integrated. The opportunity, most of them are not out-of-state big dollar operations, rather local businesses, and it seems like we're putting them at a disadvantage when we should be putting Ohio businesses and small businesses, minority-owned businesses, and businesses that are first-generation business owners at the forefront, not in the background. So keep advocating and drawing attention to that. Some of us see it and are trying to advocate on your behalf inside the room. Portion felt inside the room to advocate with us.
Thank you, everybody, for your attention today. Thank you, Representative Terrence Upchurch, Representative Jay Callender. While they're exiting the stage, I'll just touch on a couple of things. What we referenced here as far as the state law processes, and then others, a couple of others. I'll just open it up. My opinion, the issue here with that failure. It is what it is. Yeah, it produced rules for the big boys, the license holders. It produced rules for the regulators. The state law processors were totally left out. They could have at the same time they gave them a dispensary in a level 3 cultivation, so that they had sustainable business, vertical business model. But they failed on. I know everybody's talking about it, continue to get the home grow, get to do this, and now look what they're coming back to us. There's more to it than just home grow, people. Go behind bars is not a good thing to do. Right now, 56 and 160 are both focused on that. Legalization, it's not legalization until you're free for prosecution. So again, thank you, representatives. I appreciate it. Thanks for your time. Being busy, you know. Right quick, Lisa, if you want to use this restaurant downstairs, cafe, that's really right through there. If you want to leave the building and go across the street, across High Street. Incidentally, I see you somewhere downtown Detroit. So if you ain't having it in Ohio, stay down the road. Hey, I'm saying, you're the doctors, you know.